Hey, it's the Right Rican, and I want to talk about what's going on now with this Omicron scare and how, if you hadn't seen, I'm going to show you the tweet that the White House sent out, and um, here, real quick, I'm going to show you uh, Joe Biden's latest talk about um, the Omicron. So, no, here we go. Here's Joe Biden talking about Omicron.
Come to life! Everyone run for cover! SOS! Mayday! Mayday! Code red! Duck is covered! You're all in danger! Run for cover! Let's be alive! Emergency!
All right, so I'm just being silly there, and that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like every time they talk about coronavirus, and now they're bringing up this Omicron. And like I said, I compare it to 9/11. When 9/11 occurred, they scared they scared the shit out of us for to the point then where we were you know um, everything was scaring people. But what did they do? They passed the laws that still affect us to this day, 20 years after 9/11. Okay. And that's what's going on now. What's going on with this coronavirus and the scare of the coronavirus. You saw I showed the silly video, but it's a good analogy of what's going on. You see the panic in the cartoon, and you see people, not thinking rationally, just running all over the place. Well, that's what's going on with this. People are there. Everybody's scared, and you know what? We've all lost loved ones. I mean, um, I don't know not one person that hasn't lost some either a friend, a family member to this virus, because it's killed 800,000 Americans. There's one way or another we're affected by it, whether it's a friend or family member. Everyone's been affected by this. Okay, most recently, my niece caught it and recovered, but it's scary. I know, so I understand why people are. It's very easy when you're afraid that you're going to run to the people who are telling you they're going to keep you safe. Like when Biden said he was going to get rid of the virus, when there was no damn way he knew he couldn't do that. But that's what they do. I mean, they scare. The Democrats always talk about how the Republicans are against everything. Well, the Democrats, they scare you about everything. They scare you. The world's going to end in 12 years. They've been saying that for 30 years when it comes to climate change. They tell you white supremacy is about every corner. You have to be scared for the racists that are around every corner in this country. White supremacy and systemic racism and all that. It's a scare tactic to get you to vote for them. And that's I'm gonna link that later. But what I want to show you is this. Here's a Fox News article: White House ripped for doomsday winter message of severe illness and death for unvaccinated people. So here's the tweet that people are up at arms about, which I think is ridiculous, is what the WhiteHouse.gov released. We are intent on not letting Omicron disrupt work and school for the vaccinated. You've done the right thing, and we will get through this. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. Well, here's the thing. We don't know that. We don't know that. I'm going to read to you. This is from the Smithsonian Magazine. It's an article from 2020, but it still um, has credence now. It goes here: will the coronavirus evolve to be less deadly? History and science suggest many possible pathways for pandemics, but questions remain how this one will end. And it goes here, no lethal pandemic lasts forever. The 1918 flu, for example, crisscrossed the globe and claimed tens of millions of lives. Yet by 2020, the virus that caused it had become significantly less deadly, causing only ordinary seasonal flu, which we still have to this day. 100 years later, we still have to deal with the seasonal flu. Now, what's happened? Well, remember in the beginning, in the summer, when, let's say, when the Delta variant was all over the South, and the news was talking about, oh, it's because of their policy. That's why it's spreading. And now we're in the winter, and the southern states are fine. Florida has the lowest cases in the country, but meanwhile, up here in the Northeast, where it's exploding, this Omicron variant is exploding. Now, here's the good thing, but I don't know what it is with the media and why they wanna, and with the government and why should they do. But I have my theories. But it's easier to control you when they cause you to be fearful. And what's going on here is, when they throw in a message like this, it's to fear, it's to scare the uncompliance into compliance. That's all this is about. And you don't see, yeah, there's been a spike, and now, like I said, up here, there's a bunch of this vaccine mandates, there's mask mandates, and Omicron still exploding. Florida, like I said, rates are lowering. So there's no proof that there's no proof that mask and mandates and vaccine mandates are working. There is none. Um, there is none, and that's the problem with what's going on with this. It's they say follow the science, but really, when they say follow the science, they don't tell you question the science. They're just telling you, when they say follow the science, is believe what we believe, and that's always the case with these authoritarians. They don't want you to follow they don't really want you to follow the science, because then you would go, so if Florida is not doing is not doing mask mandates and vaccine mandates and vaccine passports, and it's happening here in New York and Pennsylvania and all here in the Northeast, then why are our numbers exploding? It shouldn't make sense. If we're doing all these things to mitigate the virus, then it should be working. But the problem is, and like, the reason I read the Smithsonian Magazine article for you is the fact that, with if it takes the same trajectory as the 1918 flu, then in it what are we in? We're entering the second full, no, wait, 2020, yeah. So this is the second full year. Next year is gonna be the third year. If it reaches the same track it did in 1918, then we're entering a point where the coronavirus is just gonna be it's gonna be more contagious, less deadly. Because why? Because a virus is a living being, well, a living entity, so to speak. If it kills the host, it dies too. So it has to live long enough to be able to spread, to replicate itself. And if it can't replicate itself in time to spread, and it kills the host, then um, it can't spread. It can't stay living. It needs to spread in order to live. So that's why what happened with the flu was, it was deadly, it was new, and now it's something that our bodies know. We do get these more deadly strains every so couple of years. But then our bodies get basic growing immunity to it. So I'm not saying that, I'm not saying this from a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor, but I can read history, and the whole point of reading history is to learn from it. So if we're going to learn from history, let's get over the panic, let's get over the fear, and let's think about this rationally. Let's stop running around like those cartoon characters and get this right. Our is death is a tragedy. Nobody wants it, you know, but what's more tragic? A loss of our freedom. Just as if when someone dies, we can't bring them back. It's, once we give power to the government, they don't give it back. Like I said, look at 9/11 and look at the loss of our privacy. You saw the January 6th commission was reading text messages of Congress people, okay, that they got from the phone companies. So that means, let's say, for example, jokes that you've sent between you and your friends now could be public record. Think about that. Think about some of the stupidest jokes that you made. And now think of it that it could be put out there in the public. That's scary. But this is the stuff that we allow the government to do in the name of public safety, in the name of public health. It's all fear tactics. And like I said, that's what the Dems are doing right now. And I'm picking on them in specific because, like I said, that's how they get you to vote for them, is fear. Oh well, the Republicans want to do this and the Republicans want to do that. Like, oh, voter suppression, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, voter having a voter ID is voter suppression. That's pretty racist. That is pretty racist to say that blacks and Hispanics can't get uh, uh, IDs to vote. That's very racist. But no, nobody calls that out. They don't think about that. So I want elections to be more secure. I don't want people voting more than once. I don't want people voting that shouldn't be voting, because that dilutes my vote. So, you know, that's the fear tactic. That's how they get you, with the fear. So that's what's going on. They want to scare you into compliance. If they can't scare you to compliance, then you see what's going on in New York, where people are protesting because they can't go to like an cheesecake factory or Panera Bread without getting arrested, because even if you just did to get takeout, some of these places aren't letting you get takeout. It's ridiculous. Why are we allowing for this to happen? Just because, I get it, you're scared, but fear is to be overcome. Fear, if you're a Christian follower, if you're a believer in Christ, the Bible says, I think it's over 100 times in the Bible, it says some variation of "do not fear, fear not." Um, so you need to stop living in fear. And that's, I understand if you're a non-believer, if you're a non-Christian, um, but still, you know, I know it's hard to not to be afraid. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to get sick. Every time, I get a sore throat, or, if I get a little cough, I'm a normal person. I freak out too. When my daughter has a little bit of a cough, and I freak out. I'm like, oh shit, I don't want her to get coronavirus. I don't want her to have to deal with that. But I'm not going to let fear go. Okay, well, I'm going to keep her home. I'm going to put her in a bubble. Um, no, she needs to live. There's no life. But that's what's going on. And how we're going to get past this is, you know, it's just unfortunate when it comes to reality and these pandemics, is people going to die. And I'm not saying that to be callous. I'm just saying that's why we should be more precious. It should be we should be more not precious, what's the word I'm looking for? We should savor the time we have. We should be grateful for the time we have. Tell your loved ones you love them. Hug your kids, tell them you love them, give them kisses, you know, hug them at night, hug them when you leave them, when you take them to school. Because you never know. It's not just, it shouldn't take a virus to scare you to do that. You could, God forbid, you could get into an accident going to work, going to the supermarket. There's there's plenty of things that could happen. So we have to um savor the times that we have with your loved ones, with your, whether it's your family members or your friends. My best friend's coming the day after Christmas, and I can't wait. Um, my kids, she's my best friend, and my kids, call her Titi, aunt. And but that's, these are times that you have to embrace and not let go, and instead of living in fear. Because if the government had it their way, you see what's going on, like in Canada and Australia. I remember last year in Australia, they went to somebody's home. Someone ratted out a family for spending Christmas together, and they got arrested. That's crazy. And people go, "Oh, well, that can't happen here." It can, if enough people are apathetic to it and just ignore it, because that's what's going on. People are just letting the government get away with this. I got family in New York, and that's one of the reasons I don't bother to go out there, because I think is, the fact that I have to show my papers if I want to go, let's say if I want to go get something to eat. That's crazy. Oh, you don't have to show your papers. You can show your app. Same difference. Like people when they go, well, why are you making such a big deal? The vaccine's free. It's not like you have to pay for it. Yes, we do. Our tax money pays for that. So if someone ever tells you, oh, the vaccine's free, yeah, you don't have to pay for it when you go to CVS or any other, Walgreens or whatever pharmacy you go to. But our taxpayer money has already paid for that. So please stop just mindlessly complying to what's going on. It can happen here, but that's if we don't fight. That's how we prevent it from happening here. Think about it. If we just, for you people who complied already with everything that's going on, think about how much more authoritarian it would be if you didn't have people fighting it. If people just, was like, oh, okay, whatever. We'd be Australia, we'd be Canada, but we're not, because we do, even though everybody's not fighting it, more people should be fighting it, but enough people are. But more people need to fight in order for it to end. So, we're coming into an interesting election cycle. I don't trust government to fix it, but you know what? It'd be a big message sent to the authoritarians in both parties, because you got Republicans that are bought hook, line, and sinker into this too. It's not just the Democrats. All these authoritarians on both sides of the aisle need to be voted out. Period. Um, and people who want to, like, let's say, get rid of the filibuster and all of that, it's because they want power. They want the power to do what they go, oh, it's because, we want this and we want that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you want power to be able to do whatever agenda you want. And the people who want to get rid of the filibuster for laws, well, guess what? Politicians come and go. So if you know you put in laws that people don't like, guess what? In 2 to 4 years, it'll change, because people aren't just gonna sit down and vote the same thing if they see what's going on. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. I've been rambling on for 20 minutes. I didn't even realize it. Um, but like I said, just do not fear, do not comply. Um, you got to fight these mandates. You want the shot, take the shot. You don't want the shot, don't take the shot. I'm not here to advocate either one of those. I'm just against the government overreaching its power. And I'm gonna leave it there. And in the right weekend, you can follow me here on either YouTube or Rumble. You can interact with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, Getter, Parler, all of those sites. All right. That being said, have a good one.